Every couple of years, one of these Protosses rises up and just captures my attention with their build orders, their aggressive playstyle, and their shenanigans. And this time that is Prince, the Korean Protoss player playing for Team GP, who I love watching. I probably would not enjoy playing against him, but watching this guy navigate just every single matchup is a crap ton of fun. And today I have a best of 5 between him and DRG. Prince is just something special. He is not a super cheesy player in that his build orders, once they get scouted, they're crap. No, he knows how to play, well, I wouldn't call them macro games, but games that resemble macro games. He knows aggressive all-ins. His build orders, kind of to the contrary of someone like Haas, are extremely well optimized. He's an all-inner, but it looks like he has pride in what he does, you know? It's like he knows how to make a good build order. He knows what works and he knows what doesn't. Yes, he loves proxy and gateways. Yes, he likes cannon rushing as well. But he also is just very knowledgeable about timings and how Protoss functions, how the economy of Protoss functions, what you can afford, what you can't afford, and how to get the maximum amount of units out at a certain time. The first time I saw him do this was, I think, against Maru in a GSL, where he took a map of, I think it was Maru. I want to say it was a very high level Terran, and it was with a 6-gate charge build that looked extremely strong, just extremely powerful, and that was at a time pre-4-gate Blink Stalker. And I don't want to say this was this was the inspiration for the 4-gate Blink Stalker, but the build order structure was very similar, with the Twilight into the Robo, and then afterwards the Twilight tech into those 6 gates, pulling out of gas. Prince is someone that I really like watching, just because he seems to understand what's going on, and yeah, it's a treat. And it's always cool to see a different perspective on things, right? Like, everyone kind of has their own view on the game, and they play what they believe is correct, or what they believe should be correct, or what gives them the highest chance, or what they think gives them the highest chance. So seeing all these different worldviews on StarCraft 2 is always really cool. And then someone like Prince is obviously kind of an extreme view on that. You know, he is someone that takes it very far with what he believes is the correct way to play. Or maybe he doesn't believe this to be the correct way to play. He just really enjoys building units that can kill his opponent fast. It's hard to say at times. Voidray first is going to be the first unit, though. I know that in PvZ he sometimes is a little bit more boring in a way, where he'll kind of resort to Airtos styles and that type of stuff, also with his own twist on it. So we see the third pylon being built in the wall here. This means that he can at least temporarily delay his secondary gateway, and it allows him to just get a faster nexus up as well. So this is a small optimization that isn't going to be life-changing, but still is nice to see, you know, someone that really cares about it. The sad part then is that he is floating 550 minerals while he's building that nexus. Could have just been built a lot quicker, but we'll just ignore that for now, pretend it never happened. Second gateway can still be thrown down on the outside, can also be built on the inside. It doesn't really matter too much. This adept is nicely tucked in, ready to go to bed. But he'll need to keep one eye open to make sure no Zerglings will be capable of cancelling this pylon or just killing him while he's asleep. Fleet beacon on the way here. This is a rather quick fleet beacon, so I'm glad that it's going to be something funky after all. 4 minutes into the game, we have a fleet beacon. No second Stargate yet, but probably will also come down. No, it's a Forge instead. Is he going to play one Stargate carrier, or what is this build order? I don't actually know. I have never seen this before in my life, and I want to know what it is. Void Ray deals a little bit of damage. Oracle deals a little bit of damage. Not the worst. Oh my god, never mind. I was going to say not the worst start, and then he just flies his Oracle straight through a Spore and a Queen. And well, now the start is significantly worse, because scouting is going to be harder. It is actually a single carrier upgrade. I had never seen this in my life. Single Stargate carrier after an Oracle and a Void Ray. No +1 is being researched yet. This could be to kind of throw a wrench into the scouting of DRG, who is embarking on a mission with this Overlord. that is going to last a very long time. This is the type of exploring that I do approve of. This is going to hit the main base at the 12-minute mark. This is anticipation of a new level. The follow-up, though, is a Twilight Council. We have 8 roaches on the way. Oh, DRG, misreading the game. DRG believes that this is a Glaive Adept push after Oracle Void Ray. And it's kind of understandable. There's no +1 being researched. He didn't really see much of anything. He wasn't capable of getting any info, but in that case what you should be doing is checking whether the warp gate is warping in, because there's an animation there. He did not do that. He also didn't check how many units there were over here. Hasn't really seen the gas timings yet either, has he? No, so DRG a little bit in the dark right now. And these 8 roaches are practically useless. They will, however, be useful later on in the game, because the follow-up here is going to be a very rapid charge +1 single or double Archon timing attack. Look at this. Overseer is being warped in right now. 2 carriers are out already. Now do note they don't have any extra upgrades. The Overseer also scouts everything. I'm just extremely curious how hard this will hit. Like how... Oh my god, how many gates is this? He had 1 gate this entire time. So he goes from 1 up to... But there's 8 on the way. There's 3 done. 1 + 3... 12? Did I math correctly there? 12 gateways. 2 carriers, 1 void ray, 12 gateways. Walk into a bar. The barkeeper says, "Get out. We have too many roaches here." That joke does not make any sense unless you know anything about StarCraft. Even then, it's not very funny. Prism gets built right now. First Prism is out already. Second Prism on the way. I do like that. Double Archons as well. There's still a lot of money in the bank, which could mean more Archons. This push will hit kind of hard, honestly. But without any disruptors, will it hit hard enough? This would be sick if your opponent doesn't have a Spire. Would it actually be? Or would Roach Queen just own this? I'm not so sure. It's hard to say like what's kicking off with this build. So there's a decent amount of units here. There are carriers in the mix as well. Corruptors should be capable of dealing with the carriers. Now the Prism starts flying into the base. Look at the money. Look at the money that Prince has. Prince is floating almost 3k resources. He's sending the Prism in towards the main base. Gets a huge warp in of 12 Zealots. DRG, meanwhile, is clearing the front here with his Corruptors, with his Queens, with the Roaches. Needed to pull these drones away just a little bit faster though. Did not quite do that, but still is in a fantastic position. He's up 70 supply, and although this build looked really cool, the execution was lacking. It has been lacking so far, at least. The money has been pretty high. A lot of workers have fallen so far though, and with only +1 on these range units, and +1 also on the Zealots, I mean, if these Archons finish, there's really not that many roaches, is there? There's a lot of Corruptors. You kind of have to overbuild Corruptors to deal with the carriers. And then the ground army is like, hello, what's up, buddy? And, well, I'm not quite sure if there's enough DRG here to deal with Prince's force. The next Prism is on the way already, but yeah, it's not going to make it. Actually, I think DRG is just fine. This is a wild strategy, though. Follow this up with Blink as well. Oh, I'm looking forward to this series so much. I'm just enjoying the moment right here. Watching Prince just play his build and do his crap. I love that he's just going for another try as well. He's like, you know, this wasn't quite successful the first time, but what if I just try harder a second time? He honestly does have a pretty sizable army. There's no Baneling Nest yet, which would be pretty much a counter to these Zealots. Main base is going to get taken out. No, a lot of these drones might actually get... God, the Archons barely don't get the hit on. So it's going to be 3 base against 2 base right now, with the Corruptor still alive. If the Prism gets taken out, that would be huge. There's so many Zealots here. Biles do connect with a bunch of these Archons, and the Zealots easily get kited back all the way towards the 3rd base. 5 Archons are still alive, with only +1 upgrade though. And yeah, Corruptors will take care of this Prism problem. DRG is just going to be fine. Cute attempt here, as the camera moves to the wrong direction. Cute attempt out of Prince, but it's not going to succeed. DRG just a little bit too solid. His early game wasn't even that great. Built the blind roaches, which delayed his drones. Meant that his actual unit production started a bit later, but he still managed to hold relatively easily. Of course, Prince floating close to 3k resources probably had something to do with that. As we'll be heading into our second game of this best of 5. We'll see what What other aces Prince has up his sleeve? If game number 1 did not whet your appetite, then I don't know what could. As Prince is... I love this guy. I really like watching him. He starts off with a block here on 2k atmosphere. I just want to know what he's gonna do, you know? He's not really microing his workers here. That's okay. I'm down with that. His brain is busy with bigger things, you know? You have people that care about the smallest details, but Prince, you know, he actually does care a lot about the details as well. I should not undersell him. Like, he has very good understanding. I mentioned it before, but he has very, very good understanding of how to really optimize build orders. But not microing his workers, double on the close by patch is just a mistake. Like, that is kind of inexcusable at this level, honestly. So for the people that are not aware, I've explained this before in the past, and I'll explain again. Okay, yeah, that was good. You have 4 patches that are close by on every map. I selected them now. They have the nice yellow ring around them. And you always want to send your workers there as fast as possible, because these patches are closer to the nexus, and thus you'll get more minerals from these patches. So if you only have 8 workers, you would want these 8 workers to mine on these patches, so double on these patches, and then the next workers go over here. That's kind of the goal. So seeing if you have like 12 or 13 workers, seeing one of the 4 close by patches not have double stacked workers yet, that is kind of bad. And I think most professional players would look at it and be like, oh, that's kind of odd. Like, are you not trying, or are you like tabbing down to respond to some Instagram DMs or something like that? Like, what's kicking off here? Are you not focused? So it's always odd to see. Of course, DRG base looking very, very clean here. We have the metabolic boost on the way as well, as this probe will return home with the minerals, and this adept will start pretending to march across the map. He did this last game as well. He shades it out under Overlord vision, and then just starts looking for any links that are hidden on the map. He does not want his opponent to scout in the main base to see what's going on, and he's just really looking for links, more so than scouting with that initial adept. So he now pops out at the watchtower. Maybe you can actually get a drone kill from the side, but there is an Overlord in position, which will see this coming pretty early. Like, unless DRG is semi-asleep, this should not be capable of doing anything whatsoever. No Ling is even going to die. DRG's control is really good. I've been loving watching DRG as well, by the way. He's just a player that is fun to watch, plays extremely standard, but does it well. Like, good standard play. And I feel like DRG is the closest to the top dogs when it comes to theoretical level. Like, he really understands what needs to be done. Sometimes you have one of these decisions or one of these mechanical errors that he makes, which is kind of separates him from the top players, and not in a positive way, or it separates the top players from him because they don't make that mistake, which is kind of painful. We now have a fast Twilight Council, so similar build order here, except with a faster second gate coming out of Prince, and he throws down that Twilight Council. And this was the build that DRG was preparing for last game. This, by the way, was a Twilight Council before the Oracle. Now, this might seem like a small detail, and it is a small detail, but it allows the Glaive Adept to start faster and thus finish quicker, even taking the fake third gas here. This is beautiful. Or maybe it's not a fake. Maybe he just wants extra gases. That is also possible, but I thought he was taking this because it could be spotted with a link from this position, and then having mining at that gas would be huge. But he actually probably just wants the gases. He's also taking the fourth gas, and he doesn't pull out of gas in his main base. So my apologies for that. We have +1 on the way for DRG, as well as a Baneling Nest right now. Oracle does stay alive. Let's not forget, in the first game, the Oracle ended up dying in kind of a foolish way. As once again, we have this Overlord making its way around the map for that late game exploration move in towards the main base. Actually, it's mid game. The moment Lair finishes, the Overlord arrives and he morphs it into an Overseer. It was a good move last game. It's going to be a good move once again. This is hitting like a freaking truck, by the way. 10 Adepts making their way across the map. I don't quite think DRG is ready. He has 6 links out, 14 more links in production right now. 6 Queens have also popped out. This is an extremely tight build order that could be dealing some big damage. And these build orders have indirectly been buffed because Queen counterattacks with Roaches and Ravagers used to be one of the main ways to deal with these build orders. You could lose a bunch of workers, but if you would just have Roaches and then walk across the map with Queens, you'd often kill the player who'd play this build. Now, however, because queen counterattacks across the map are not really viable anymore, this type of build order gained a lot in strength. And we see that Prince is executing this pretty well. Like, I think DRG was more ready than I initially gave him credit for. And Prince is, I mean, he's microing his adepts well. He's dealing a fair amount of damage, direct and indirect. I mean, a lot of workers have been killed, but also a lot of units have been forced. So, Spire is the follow-up. This was, by the way, perfect play. And this really is the difference between these higher level Zergs and the mid-level Zergs, is that the most important thing against pressures is realizing when the pressure is over before it is over. So you need to look into the future 10-15 seconds and say to yourself, hey, this is the end of this pressure, and that probably means that I need to start droning. This is really difficult to do, but DRG did it correctly here. He realized, hey, this pressure is about to end, while the adepts were still over here is when he started his drones, I believe. So that is basically before the adepts died. And this was the correct call. He did not need 25 more links anymore. He just needed time to kill the adepts. And he knew he was going to lose some drones. He started producing more. Absolutely the correct call here. Good play out of DRG. However, I still like Sprint's position perhaps a little bit more. I'm not a huge fan of blink follow-ups usually. But because this is Prince, I have a bit of a weak spot, a soft spot for him. So I'm going to allow it. You can play your blink builds, my friend. I'll criticize you after you've lost with it, because they never work. But while while he's doing it, I'll be extremely positive. I'll have a positive attitude towards it. I mean, supplies look good because this early game felt quite good. Early and the early parts of the mid game, I guess we could say, that glaive push. This fort base is going to get cancelled, or perhaps should get cancelled. Prince has a lot of stalkers, by the way. This is a big army, and there's not that many links. There really isn't that many links. There are no Bane links. We don't even have the centrifugal hooks yet. Actually, DRG wants to make a stand here. I'm not quite sure if he can. Links do get to connect with some of the sentries right now. I mean, if these links actually fight against stalkers and sentries, they're very powerful, but it doesn't feel like they're capable of fighting currently. Ravagers as the backbone of this army, together with the queens. There's a lot of Ravagers which can deny a lot of damage output out of these stalkers. We see some decent blink micro. Not a lot of these biles are connecting. As I say that, 2 stalkers died to biles, which isn't great, but more stalkers are moving forward right now. DRG struggling to stay alive. Big blink forward. More biles raining down from the sky. +2 melee attacks is about to finish up as well, which will make these links even more viable of a defense against this. I think DRG has to right now give up this fort base. Well, the fort base is dead already, so that's not the most revolutionary call. And he probably wants to make a stand over here in this position. And big concave for him. Pretty big concave as well, though, for Prince. With the drone pool, however, I think that DRG might just barely be able to hold. Drones can tank a lot of damage. The question now remains more, will this be enough? I mean, if you lose 20 workers and then hold, is that good enough of a hold? And honestly, I don't even think he will be able to hold. The Prism stays alive. Next Warpin is going to be viable as well. I feel like Prince is eyeing that blink forward. This was a fantastic build. I am not a fan of blink builds usually, because they always lose. But here, Prince is doing it. Wow. This is very, very rare. And perhaps I underestimated his position a little bit after that glaive attack. I mean, it did a fair amount of damage, but it's not a revolutionary amount of damage. It's not like he killed 35 workers. A lot of mining denying. Perhaps I underestimated that here. He is outmining his opponent by a decent chunk already. And then on top of that, these final 8 workers that DRG lost. Yeah, here the workers already start. These workers that he lost were kind of painful. That was actual pain, because otherwise he's already at 68 at this point again, right? He's already at 68, he throws down that hatchery, but now he needed one more round of drones. Perhaps I underestimated that, that's my bad. And Prince, he read this perfectly, following up with Blink. Beautiful stuff. You don't see this work every single day, you really don't. Alright, let's hop into game number 3. Let's see what happens there. Game number 3 will be played over here on Hardwire, as we have Prince once again with the quick block on the natural. We'll have to wait and see what his plans are. I've been liking his opener so far, you know. I'm a fan. I want to try that the 4-gate glaive again a little bit. I kind of retired it because it it just seemed to die so often against follow-ups. And it's still, with a perfect response out of the Zerg, with a good roach hold, you can just drone up really high, up to like 75, 80, 81 on 4 bases. And TOS is just going to be in a bit of trouble. But it is a powerful build. I mean, you're hitting at 520-ish with 10, 11 adepts. The first time I saw this build, it was on Romanticide, I think. And it was Cyril and Lambo who showed it to me. And they were kind of trying to figure out how to scout it. Because you have this trick of the Oracle being delayed. But if you chrono it, it's still kind of fast. So it's a very small difference. You can make a very hard read into that as a Zerg. You really just need to check whether the gateways are warping or not. But if you can deny that as a Protoss player from your opponent, you could be in a very good spot. And the build is powerful. It has some good follow-ups. Like you could follow that up tactically with a second Stargate going to like Phoenix. Wouldn't be great, but it is possible. You have these follow-ups that go into blink attacks, which can kind of capitalize and leverage a lead that you build up with the initial attack. Or you could just follow this up with charge, like charge Archon, add in some disruptors and just play a more standard game. And as the Queen Walks have been nerfed, this type of aggressive build order is a lot more open right now. You can play these build orders and you don't need to straight up kill your opponent. Dealing damage is fine because the counterattack possibilities are a lot, well, they're practically not there anymore. Of course, if you lose absolutely everything and kill nothing, they can still maybe Nidus you across the map and win, but just a straight Queen Walk, especially with Hatchery Tech, is not going to be possible. And it's really cool to see Prince making use of that and catering his builds towards that. This time though, we have something slightly different. It's going to be a charge build here, I presume. And I was mentioning that build that he played against Maru, that 6 gate. Oh, it's going to be Glaives. But this is... okay. Okay, it's going to be just a regular glaive build. I was really feeling that that charge. Okay, well, the glaive is fine, of course, as well. I like glaives. There's nothing wrong with glaives. You know, good glaives every now and then. And it's just a bit too standard. It's too vanilla, in my opinion. Prince doesn't strike me as the vanilla guy. He likes strawberry ice cream with, I don't know, with licorice in it and spaghetti taste. You know. Like all the weird ones that you can get these days. I remember the first time I saw it was like Red Bull taste for ice cream. That was revolutionary 15 years ago. Back then you only had like banana and strawberry, and like lemon, that type of stuff. I used to love lemon as a kid. Lemon and strawberry, it sounds delicious. Now you go to your regular, what's it called, gelato, I think, one of these stores, and they have infinite ones. There's all these different flavors, man. It's crazy. Really crazy. The research and development there that has been truly buzzing over the past few years. Gelato ice cream. That stuff's delicious as well. I could eat buckets of that. I have no self-control whatsoever. Actually, zero. I remember in 2010 or so, 2009, I had licorice ice cream or gelato. Yeah, it's delicious stuff as well. Really liked it. Everyone thought it was crazy, but no, these people, they were onto something. This is the Dark Defense, by the way, out of DRG, which is funny, because DRG has a defense named after him as well, of the Glaive build. You have the DRG Defense and the Dark Defense. DRG doing the Dark Defense is a wild one. The difference between these two is that the DRG Defense is done with a single gas, pure Ling, many roaches, and the Dark Defense is done off of 2 gas, with a bunch of Ravagers, which often allows for a cleaner hold. I'm not aware of this build going up to more Ravagers than 3. This is perhaps because this is a crap ton of adepts that this ends up being the case. And these Ravagers are actually in a bit of trouble. They might get pushed away. What I would love for these adepts to do is to shade away and to have kept chasing these Ravagers. This is a really good fight. I don't quite know how Prince is doing it, but he's getting good fight after good fight with these adepts. Now, this is a shade that could potentially be dangerous, but there's not a lot of links for the surround, which means none of these biles are going to connect. The entire point of the Dark Defense is to get a surround with the links so that your biles connect. If your biles don't connect, it's just a crappy hold, and this is going to be a crappy hold. Prince, I'm not quite sure how you're doing it, but this looks really, really solid. This actually looks good. Immortals are out. There's only 4 gateways though, so it's going to be not the biggest all-in, but still a very committed pressure build here out of Prince with, well, okay, it's slightly more than just a pressure build. This This is semi all-in, we'll call it, okay? This needs to... This really does need to do some damage. Like, you can't just kill 5 workers and, alright, that's it. We'll call it quits. Like, you'll need to do something here and probably win a fight. Now, the cool thing about this is that he can shade into the main base, drop the Immortals on the high ground. This is probably the plan for now. Okay, here come the Immortals out of the prism. Oh my god, he just ate these biles for breakfast. My man was hungry and they were serving biles apparently. A couple of adepts shade in towards the natural. This control has not been it though. Oh, Prince, what an opportunity that you just pass up on. Like, that was not great. Kills 4 drones and I said just killing 5 drones isn't going to be enough. Well, guess what? If killing 5 drones is enough, killing 4 drones also isn't going to be enough. DRG just drones up. He's gonna drone up. He's gonna get a fort base. He already has the lair done. Does he have an Evo chamber? If he does not have an Evo chamber, that's annoying, but he can build one. That's the beauty of Evo chambers, is you can just build them whenever you please. Follows it up with a Spire. Spire is one of these buildings that, in this case, it probably will work. But the question is it the safest? Throwing down a Baneling nest here, getting your +1 range or your +1 melee, and going for like 75 drone, Ravagerling Bane, I honestly believe that DRG here would have been unkillable. Right now, investing in a Spire, getting the quick gases for that Spire, delaying that force base a little bit. These are all decisions that are probably fine if you get the Mutas out and you get a minute with these Mutas, okay? You just need a minute. Really just a minute with the Mutalisk. But if you don't get a minute with the Mutas and your opponent is on your doorstep, as you're pumping out the Mutalisk, yeah, you could be in trouble. And it does feel like that Prince is looking at a timing here. He's eyeing that timing. His +1 is about to finish up. I do believe that he might just not hit in time though. He's not taking any gases. We're getting cannons in the third base. There's only going to be 6 Mutas as well. It's not a large number, but it's still a big investment, you know? I am not sure about this. I am really not so sure about it. I still think it's going to be fine because the position for DRG is good. But if there's a way to lose, this would be it. Imagine, rather than 7 Mutas, there'd just be 15 Banelings here with Baneling speed. Like, this is a fight that you'd laugh at, you know? It's like, what? What? Run 3 Banelings into this mineral line, you go, what? No way. It's messed up. Now it's going to be a Ling run by as well. I'm surprised DRG is doing this. I am quite surprised, honestly. This is going to be a hard fight. It actually is. +1's about to finish. There's a lot of units here for Prince. And these are some high-level units. Look at that. 4 freaking Immortals, 2 Archons in the back. He's going for the Prism Snipe. This is a big investment to just go for a Prism Snipe. Lynx are now moving back home as well. Prince's army supply is dropping. Decent pickups. These biles are not connecting. These biles, however, are. As these Immortals once again eating a couple of biles for breakfast. Can we get the Prism? Yes, the Mutas kill the Prism. But is it going to be enough? I think the answer might just be no. Zealots stay alive, yeah. This is the problem of the Mutalisk. The Mutalisk does not kill stuff quickly. If you don't get across the map with the Muta, you're just not going to be capable of winning. And Prince is kind of bleeding units right now. Has a lot of money in the bank. But also his opponent's worker count isn't all that hot. And units lost, I mean, it's just in favor of Prince. Prince needs to get home with this, by the way, because he needs to reinforce this position. If he can't reinforce this position, it could still be kind of scary. These Immortals are trading so well, though. They're trading so darn well. 81 supply left, no Roach Warren here. There's so much money for Prince once again, because he lost that Prism. 2 more gates on the way, so we have 4 Templar without being morphed, moving across the map. There's no storm, right? No, there's no storm. Wait, there's already a Prism out. I didn't even realize that. Okay, so there's going to be 3 Archons, couple of Zealots, a new Immortal on the way. I wouldn't even mind +2, as well as a fort base, but that is not really Prince's style, is it? He does not have a fort camera hotkey, is the rumor on the street. He only has 3, and that's because he's planning on staying on 3 bases. He is not going into that macro game, my friends. Oh no, he ain't. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is resembling a macro game. He pretends like he's playing a macro game, but in reality we know what he's doing. This third base is still going strong, has the cannon, has the battery. Ling Runby will not be capable of taking it out. Fort base for DRG will get killed. No banelings in this army means that the zealots will hit hard. Zealots against ravagers are fantastic. Zealots against roaches, perhaps not so much, but still decent enough, especially with that Archon as a backup. Prism needs to make sure to dodge that spore, and yeah, we'll just chase this off creep. This is over. This is absolutely over. A game which should have been won here by DRG after that hold in the mid game against the double immortal adept push. But he went into the Spire rather than the Banelings, and as a result ends up dying. GG gets called, Prince takes game number 3, puts himself on match point in this best of 5. Game number 4 will be played on Berlingrad. It's one of the smaller maps. And the smaller the map, the faster Prince's army gets to the other side. As, I see that he's gonna have something planned. I know it, I can feel it already. God, I love watching this guy. It's more my taste of cheese, you know. It is not as all in. It is not as wild, but it is good build orders, well thought out attacks, and sometimes just attacks because he doesn't want to take a fort base. Like my mind in that last game is like, oh, I think he can take a fort and +2 here, and in his mind it's like, I think I can kill him. And well, if you can kill your opponent, it's probably better to kill him than to try and take a forward base and macro out of it. But yeah, it's just, he really has that killer instinct that a lot of other people are lacking. And he you know, he just overflows with it. Confidence in his units, and that's important as well, of course. I always feel like your StarCraft units can feel whether you believe or not. Sometimes my units, I don't believe in them, and they still do the trick. Sometimes I don't believe in them, and they don't do the trick. Prince always believes in them, and they always do the trick. Trust me. These units know what's up. Okay, Cybercore gets thrown down here as well, as we are just with a standard opener. He's not much of a early game cheeser in this matchup, I believe. No cannon rushes here. I've seen him cannon rush Terrans. He actually beat Maru with a cannon rush in WTL last season. Maybe the season before. WTL seasons move very fast, so I can't quite remember. But yeah, he is the ultimate best of 1 Protoss player. Terrans hate him. So do Zergs and Protoss players, but yeah, he's really difficult to play against. He has a lot of build order variations. That's Stalker first, okay. So he's hiding something. The question is, what's he going to be hiding? Will it be a Twilight? Will it be a Robo? Show me, my friend. I'm very curious. Twilight. Huh. Stalker first Twilight. Ooh, Overlord slightly out of position. Is this dead? Prince will need to pick, though, between the 2 Links and the Overlord. I think he made the correct choice here. If he can get the full denial. He can't. Can he? No, he definitely can't. This Ling is going to spot the Twilight. Sees as well that one of the workers is not mining here. This indicates that it's most likely not a Dark Shrine. Oh, this is a Link Flood. This is a Link Flood. This is what you get if you never scout. You get Link Flooded. Is this with the drones or no? No, we've seen these drone drill Link Floods a lot. It's not the case here though. Adept in the wall. So what he can do is he can shade out and re-wall behind this. But you need to be quick in order to do this. You need to be very, very rapid in order to do this. And the question is, will Prince be quick enough? Let's go into first person view here. Building my gateways. Adding my claves. Ooh, what is this? Shades back. What? Probe in position. So this feels like pretty much the perfect response. Adept is going to stay alive. Rewalls with batteries as well, which means that he can heal his buildings if they ever finish up. However, if this falls, batteries are really weak buildings. Like they get killed quickly. So that's why you often see people rewalling with pylons and further in the back with batteries. Now Cybercore is gone, which means only zealots can be warped in. He warps in 1 zealot in an aggressive position. I like it. Hello? Bottom gateway. Bottom gateway. Oh, hello? Can we get... Oh my god. Bottom gateway goes down. Is there a super battery available here? There's no energy. Now there's energy. Use it. There we go. Stalker barely manages to stay alive. Probe's also helping out, but there's just not enough units. And this Link Flood is actually going to work. I can't believe it. A 2-base Link Flood here. 3rd base just now being taken. 18 more Links on the way. As DRG enters the main. Beautiful stuff here. Out of the Dong. And this makes me believe that this Overlord being here was not a mistake. He wanted to force this first unit to stay at home. I guess the Stalker would have stayed at home no matter what. He wanted to sneak those links by to keep the first unit at home. And right now, Prince is absolutely dead. He's going to try to stay alive for a little bit longer, but I don't think it's actually going to work. I mean, what you gonna do here? Yeah, I mean, you have glaives, but yeah, adepts are good, but there's so many links, dude. 55 links. This is fun and all. You're gonna lose workers, even if you lose like 5-6 workers. Well, actually, you need to lose like 15 workers. It's a good control on the probe. Look at the hold position micro here as well. Every now and then. Now it's A moving, that's not correct, but he was doing some nice hold position micro earlier. It just doesn't pan out quite for him. Yeah, he's going to end up losing this game. I wonder if it's okay if he holds the main base with 30 workers against 15 workers of his opponent. I doubt it is, because there's triple hedge with good production. Because there was 2 queens, yeah. Yeah, even then I don't think it's good enough. If you're 3 base against 1, even if you're up like double the workers, it's probably just not going to last. So GG gets called. That means that the score is now 2-2, and we'll be heading into our final game of this best of 5, which has been nothing but amazing so far. Our final game here between DRG and Prince. And I already have a smile on my face. I'm not quite sure why, but I know this is going to be a banger. DRG opening up with the gold here as the first hatchery. And now I'm curious to see what Prince's response is going to be. Does he even realize what's kicking off right now? Does he understand what has just happened? Does he know? Does he know what we know? I think the answer is no. I don't think he knows. He has absolutely zero idea of what's going down. And it's kind of normal to not have a hatchery in the natural, right? You usually get it at your third base if you get blocked. So yeah, he'll need to somehow figure this out before he makes any big decisions on what his game plan is going to be. Now, this gold doesn't change too much. It is a gold with only 6 mineral patches, unlike the one on Pride of Altaris, which has 8. So it will provide an initial boost in income, but it doesn't actually do that much once you get properly saturated. I think it's about equal to a regular blue mineral base once you're fully saturated on a 6-patch gold, or if you're saturated on an 8-patch blue mineral. It's pretty similar. So just keep that in mind. So often this Blackburn base is used for all-ins, or to kind of chrono boost your eco in the very early game. There's not that many drones moving over either, which is weird. That actually is really weird. Maybe he doesn't believe that to be worth it. Okay, well, I wasn't... Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. It's gonna just send the workers that were getting the gas. So it's not a super well-populated gold base, honestly. It's gonna take a while for him to reap the benefits. Twilight Council will be the response. Most likely 4-gate glaive, maybe 6-gate glaive. That's what I'm feeling here. He's been trying to play glaive builds quite a bit as well. So whether that's with a Stargate first or just Twilight straight away, both of these links are going to fall if he targets well. Does not target very well, and as a result, one of the links will temporarily escape, but the Shade will catch up with it, as the Shades are a little bit faster than links without speed. Link dies, and a very dramatic animation as well on the Link dying, by the way. This is how poor actors act dying, you know, maybe a bit too much. And they fall in a dramatic way. It's like, it's not quite it. These 2 adepts are going to cause a minor trouble here for DRG at the natural. There's a minor trouble at the second base. Cut in workers here. I'm not quite sure if that was on purpose. These adepts do need to shade out at some point. This costs a lot income-wise. I mean, this is the base where you want to be getting the money from. It's not getting the money whatsoever. Roach War needs to be thrown down pretty soon as well, I believe. 410, 420 or so. We're probably looking at that timing. It's already going down right now. It's kind of early. Second gas also being taken. Okay, so this is going to be the dark defense. I'm not quite sure if that is... I'm not sure how to properly defend this mineral line against glaives, now that I look at it. I mean, there are rocks here, which stop you from easily going back to your own mineral line, which is obviously an issue. There's a long way around over here as well. Are Ravagers really the answer? Or perhaps a Spine Crawler in this position, accompanied by Queens with Transfuses in the back? Like a Spine over here, so it can micro back a little bit. Like, what is the actual proper way to play this is my question right now. As 7 adepts are moving across the map. That means there's nothing in the wall currently. And this is a 4-gate glaive. And this is not a pressure. This is an all-in. This is 100% all-in. He fully walled himself in and he wants to kill his opponent right now. This is going to hit really, really hard as well. There were a couple of worker cuts. It's only on 37 workers. And he's going to finish the shade. He's going to clear a lot of these links. There are no Ravagers in this push yet. There's no Queens in the main base either, which means he can probably warp in if he wants to. He's indeed going to be doing that. More Adepts will join the fight right now. And if DRG even loses as much as 6-7 workers here, that would be terrible already, because this push is going to keep continuing on. We have more workers on the way right now for Prince. He might be considering transitioning out, but I don't think he has to. There's nothing left right now for DRG. He has no roaches. 3 of the roaches are morphing into Ravagers. It's going to be too late as these Adepts hit the gold as well. 13 workers die. GG gets called. Prince with a fantastic glaive push here that hit like a freaking truck is going to win the best of 5, 3-2 against DRG. Great to watch. Absolute a treat. A treat for my Protoss eyes. I love watching this guy. I hope I can get more replays of him because it's really, really fun. Thank you all for watching, of course. I'll hope to see all of you next time as well. And yeah, like the channel and subscribe to the video. Ciao!